welcoming your audience. It is lovely to see so many familiar faces here today. I'm very grateful to you all for taking the time to be here today. Introducing yourself. For those of you who don't know me, let me start by telling you a little bit about my own background. I'm stating the goal of your presentation. What I intend or plan or hope to do is the reason I'm here today is to talk about I'm here to say a few words about explaining why the topic is relevant. This talk should be of particular interest to those of you who, by the end of this afternoon's talk, you'll know how to, or you'll be familiar with. What I hope you will get from my talk or presentation is a clearer view or better idea of introducing the first topic. I'd like to begin by drawing your attention to. Let's begin by looking at finishing a topic. That's all I want to say about this topic for the time being. So that's the background on continuing with another topic. The next point I'd like to talk about is this leads me directly to my next point, which is highlighting information. As far as I'm concerned, the main issue here is the significance of this is I cannot emphasize this strongly enough. Paraphrasing. In other words, put simply, to put it another way, common knowledge. As you're all aware, as I'm sure you all know, referring to points you mentioned earlier. If you remember, I touched upon this point earlier. As I mentioned or pointed out earlier, digressing. While we're on the subject of, I'd like to briefly mention, if I can just digress for a moment, getting back to the topic. Coming back to my main point, summarizing. Finally, let me remind you of the main points we covered or looked at or considered today. Let me briefly summarize the main points. Concluding. I'd like to finish with something, name of well-known person, once said, relevant and meaningful quote. Let me just finish with a question, thought-provoking question. Thanking the audience and inviting them to ask questions. Thank you very much for being such an attentive audience. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now. Any questions?